Number 1. What is the speed in meters per second of a paper airplane that flies 180 meters in 6 seconds? So first, we're going to put 180 meters, line, 6 seconds. Then you're going to do this. So trying to find how many meters you can go in 1 second. So you divide this by 6. And what you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So you divide this by 6. Six divided by 6, 1. What is 180 divided by 6? 30. Bless you. Your answer is 30 meters in 1 second.
Number 2. Well, I did. So it says a 20-ounce bag of popcorn costs $2.40. If the unit price stays the same, how much does a 30-ounce bag of popcorn cost? So I took the $2.40, and since that is the cost for a 20-ounce bag, I put the 20 ounces on the bottom. And then we don't know the cost of a 30-ounce bag, so that we would use a variable. And then we know it's a 30-ounce bag. So I cross multiply, and I got 20x equals 72. Divided by 20. I got x equals $3.60. So a 30-ounce bag would cost $3.60.
For number 3, Casey and Josh wanted to compare the prices of their favorite cereals to determine which is less expensive. The table below shows the price of each box of cereal and the number of ounces in each box. So first you have to take the total price of Casey cereal, so $3.12, and then over 24 ounces. And then that gets you $0.13. And then for Josh's cereal, you'll take the price, which is $4.80, and divide it by the ounces, which is 32. And then you'll get 15 cents. And then you put it in. And then who gets the better deal on cereal and why? So it's Casey, because her cereal is 2 cents less than Josh's per ounce.
Nice job. What's really important there that I'm really happy that you wrote is the per ounce. Because if you look, Casey's cereal is not just 2 cents less. She actually pays $1.68 less. But that's not why she gets a better deal. She gets a better deal because for every ounce, she pays 2 cents less than Josh. So make sure that per ounce is in there. Good job.
Number 4, Scott drove 404.8 miles from the college to home and used 25.3 gallons of gasoline. His sister Bonnie drove 210 miles from her college to home and used 15 gallons of gas. Which vehicle has the better gas mileage? Justify your answer. So what I just did is I took 404.8 and divided that by 25.3, and that equals 16 miles per gallon of gasoline. And then 210 divided by 15 equals 14 miles per gallon of gasoline. And then Scott's is better because if they both were going a mile, Scott would go further because he has more gas than Bonnie.
On your test tomorrow, that's good. On your test next week, make sure that you answer the question. It says, whose vehicle has better gas mileage? Justify your answer, and you need to write, on this particular one, it would say, Scott has the better gas mileage because he gets 2 miles per gallon more.
Shane typed a 1,300 word essay in 25 minutes. At this rate, determine how many words he can type in 35 minutes. Okay, so I did 1,300 words over 25 minutes. And then that equals X words over 35 minutes. Then I cross multiplied and I got 25x equals 45,500, and then you divide both of them by 25, and then x equals 1,820 words in 35 minutes.
Okay. Now, Sam types 420 words in 10 minutes. If he continues to type at this rate, how many words will he have typed in 2 hours? Now, first, we put down 420 words over 10 minutes. And when you divide those, you get 42. Yep, 2 words a minute. And then you do 42 times how many minutes are in 2 hours, which is 120, which we all know should. Got the variable. And then multiply those up, get an answer of 5,040. Pow.
So our final answer there is C.
Yes.
So can you circle when you go up there C on number 6? That way we can see it up there.
Circle
Perfect.
So, first, if x varies directly as y and x equals 8 when y equals 24, what is the value of x when y equals 9? First we do 24 over 8 equals 9x. And we cross multiply. So it'll be 24x equals 72. And divide both sides by 24. And x equals 3.
Nice job. I like that. You have both the y's on the top and both the x's on the bottom. Well done.
Number 8. The tables below show the relationships between distance in miles and cost in dollars for two shipping companies. So what I did was I looked at the company X first, and I did 80 divided by 20,
Other way around.
20 divided by 80,
We got 0.2,
which got me,
0.25.
and I did the same thing with 60 and 240, which also got me 0.25, and the same thing for 100 and 400, and the same with 140 and 560. If you look at Y, 70 really can't go into 245.
Not evenly, so we rounded to 0.285.
And the same thing with 100 and 350. 100 really can't go into 350.
So we rounded to the same thing, right? 0.285.
And it's the same thing with 130 and 455.
Still 0.285. Yep.
And then 160 can't go into 560.
Still 0.285.
So if you look at these numbers, the answer would be A.
Careful. I don't know that I agree with A, because you're right, they're not proportional to each other. But just look at X. Is X proportional to itself?
Yeah.
Yes. At the presentation, people are laughing at a computer that decided to start playing music. Yep. Nice job.
Which graph shows a proportional relationship with the unit rate of 2/3? So the bottom one would be X and the top one would be a Y. You know, all the proportional graphs start on the 0, so these ones would not be included. We have to make the dot on the chart. Your answer is D, because the dot's on the line, and this one, the dot's not on the line.
A concert hall sells tickets in 3 different price ranges. For each price range, there are both adult and child rates. So you have to do y over x. So I did $2.20 divided by $11, and I got 0.2. And then I did $6.60 divided by $33, and I got 0.2. And I did the same thing for the last one, and I got 0.2. So you have to do k equals 0.2. Write an equation for this situation in y equals kx format. And for k, it equals 0.2, so you would just put 0.2 here and then x.
The graph below shows the proportionality relationship between the number of concert tickets sold and the amount of money in dollars raised by a musician. What is the unit rate of the tickets sold? So what I did was I went up the line to the first corner, which was 10 and 50. If you divide 50 by 10, you get 5. Then the line goes up to 120. If you divide 100 by 20, you also get 5. The same thing with 150 and 30, which also equals 5. And the same thing with 240, which is also 5. And 250 and 50, which is 5. Since all the numbers are 5, the answer would be C.
So I'm doing number 12, and the way that I found it out was by looking, so the graph below shows the proportional relationship. That might help. Phil is running to raise money. The amount of money in dollars he raises is based on the distance x in miles. They each run. In miles, they each run. The graph shows below model the amount of money Phil will raise based on the distance he runs. So it says what is represented by the 0.4 and 30. So I circled 0.4 and 30, and I went up here and I found the 30, and I went all the way over to the 4, and it connected with the line. So then it says on the left hand side it says amount of money, and then on the bottom it says distance. So then if you look down here, it would be B, because he runs 4 miles and he gets $30. So A is just like that, but it says he runs 30 miles for $4, so they had it switched. So the answer would be B.
So Ernesto made a graph of the distance in miles he can ride a bike in X hours. Ernesto can ride 24 miles in 2 hours. Which point on the graph represents Ernesto's rate of travel in miles per hour? So for this, the answers all are X to Y. the first category is X, and then it's Y, and the distance Y would be over here, and then hours X will be over here. So immediately we can cross off C and D because we need an hour and there's no hours in that. It wants to know how many miles per hour. So to do that, we just have to take 24 and divide it by 2 to get 12. So
Okay, so for number 14, part A, it says, at the bakery, the daily ratio to cookies to sales, of cookie sales to donut sales is 3 to 5. Cookies and donuts cost the same amount. If the bakery earned $320 on Tuesday from the sale of cookies, write a proportion that could be used to find the amount of money that came from sales of donuts on Tuesday. So your first setup would be a proportion, which would be 3 cookies over 5 donuts, and you'd have to make it equivalent to $320 on just cookie sales, and we have to find out how much was made on donut sales.
This is exactly right. Do we all see, because it's a proportion, our labels have to be the same. So we have cookies, and we still have cookies on top. It just says how many dollars in cookies. Just like on the bottom we have donuts, and over here we have to have donuts. The important part about a proportion is we need to keep our labels the same.
And then the next thing you want to do is cross multiply, which would take you down to part B. 3 times x would be 3x, which is equivalent, and 5 times 320 is 1,600. And now that is not in equivalent units, so you have to divide each of these by 3, and those would become, x would equal $533.33 donut sales on Tuesday.
The ratio of the number of students on the chess club to the number of students on the math team is 1 to 4. The ratio of number of students on the math team to the number of students on the quiz bowl team is 2 to 3. There are 4 students on the chess club. How many students are on the quiz bowl team? So I did 1C over 4M because the ratio is 1 person on the chess team to 4 people on the math team. And then there's 4 total kids on the chess team, and you don't know how many people are on the math team. So you cross multiply, and x equals 16. And then you do 2m over 3q, and then 16m over xq, because there's 16 kids on the math team and you don't know how many people on the quiz bowl team. And then you cross multiply, and you get 2x equals 48. Then you divide both sides by 2, and then you get x equals 24.
The distance between two cities on a map is 3 inches. The map was drawn using the scale below. 1 inch equals 344 miles. What is the actual distance in miles between the two cities? So, I did 1 inch over 344 miles, and then equals 3 inches over x miles, and then cross multiplied that, and then got 1x, or just x, because 1x and x is the same, equals 1,032. And then your answer is D.
Okay, number 17. Tina is making a scale model of a monument that is 155 feet tall. She uses a scale of 1 inch equals 2.5 feet. How tall should Tina make her model? So the first thing you want to do is set up a you have to set up a division problem. So you want to have 155. It's the first number, and then you want to divide it by 2.5. Since 2.5 can't go into 1, and there's an x there. Now, 6 times can 2.
You guys can just use your calculator.
Yeah, 62 times 2.5 can go into 155. And you would have to subtract 155 from it, because it goes in evenly, and that's 0. Now you have to drop down your label, which is 62 inches. So 62 inches would be equivalent to 155. So you have to circle that. And now you would have to read to make sure you have 62 in there. And C would be your answer, because it's equivalent to 62 inches.
That answer is completely correct. Let me show you an alternative way to do it. Very quickly, as soon as I see that it's a scale, I think of this as a scale type problem, so I would use my proportions and start with the scale. So I would start with 1 inch is the same thing as 2.5 feet. So I need to move my labels over right away, because I know they have to match in a proportion. Well, the last thing I know is the 155 feet. That matches my bottom label, so that's where it goes. And I don't know how many inches. I cross multiply and get 2.5x equals 155. And this is why this works, because look, we're about to divide both sides by 2.5. And we just proved that 155 divided by 2.5 is 62. So the final answer, like was just 62 inches. That's how you can solve it using a proportion.
Which fraction represents the ratio of the lengths of the sides of the small triangle to the lengths of the sides of the large triangle? First, want to divide 4, that equals 0.3. Do 4 divided by 12 again, that equals 0.3, and then you can convert that to being 1/3. And if you do 7 divided by 21, it will be 0.3, which would be 1.3 as the answer. Is that it? Okay, good.
The triangles below are similar. What is the length of the side X? So you have to flip the top triangle so that they're both on the same side. And then you have to put the length on. So 4 still goes at the bottom to match 14. And 5 will go on the side that X is because it's flipped. So now you have to figure out X. To do that, you just have to take the sides you know both lengths and cross multiply it with the other. 14 goes with 4. X goes with 5. Just cross multiply. And 15 times 4, or 5 times 14 is 70. And 4x, because 4 times x. And then 70 divided by 4 is 17.5. So that's the length of X, C.
The sun hits a tree and a mailbox at the same time, creating shadows. The mailbox is 3.5 feet tall and casts a shadow that is 14 feet long. The tree casts a shadow that is 88 feet long. Part A is right proportion that you can use to find the height of the tree. So first I would make a fraction and put 3.5 feet on top, and then 14 feet on the bottom, because we know those measurements for the mailbox. And then because 3.5 is how tall it is, I would put X on the top and then 88 on the bottom. So then part B is how tall is the tree in feet. So I would rewrite my proportion. And for me, what I did was I also drew a picture. So this would be the taller tree. So it would be X, and then 88 feet. And then I would draw the mailbox, 3.5 feet. And 14 feet. And that would just help me by giving me a visual. So the next what I would do is I would cross multiply. So it would be 3.5x and no, that'd be wrong thing. That would be 14x, and then 3.5 times 88 would be 308. And I would divide both sides by 14 so I can get the x singled out. And my x would equal 22 feet.